Hi, Scoot. This is Christina from The Upcoming. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
To start things off, could you tell us a bit about your character in Blood for Dust, Cliff?
Cliff is a struggling traveling salesman who has sort of down on his luck and dealing with familial issues. And he gets put into a position where he reunites with an old coworker who has a troubled past that he shares that troubled past with as well. The two of them embark on an endeavor that's a fish out of water experience for Cliff. The escapade of all the things that you sort of build out this film are what it entails, and it all culminates to a very sort of Fargo-esque Coen Brothers sort of wink ending.
How did you first connect with Cliff as a character? Was there a specific moment in his story that made you think, I have to play this role?
I think the story as a whole is what really attracted me to it, but I was really also attracted to Cliff based on we were about when I met with Rod Blackhurst, the filmmaker on this, we were about a year into COVID and a year and a half. And through our talks back and forth, the economy and the American people and the globe as well were all struggling. And so this sort of shined a light on some of the people in the middle America and the smaller issues that they were struggling with financially that I thought that it emulated very much so in Blood for Dust. And it was felt like very much at the time it was a storyline or a theme that was very poignant and present at the time that we were making it, and that felt important to me.
And what kind of off-screen work did you do to prepare for the role?
Preparing for every role is so different. I couldn't really tell you specifically with Cliff. He was a traveling salesman, so there was some meetings with salesmen and like sort of what's that entails. But based on the time period of which we were making this film, traveling salesmen back then were a little bit different. So it was more of sort of, I had some experience with the drug trafficking on a show I worked with on Narcos, so there was some knowledge there. But approaching this particular character, it was really mostly focused on the American people or just middle America and their struggles with the financial crisis and the government, and what would one do to help his family, and what extents and links would one go to help his family to survive and cope. And that to me was a really specific theme that I sort of latched onto and sort of with Cliff in the character.
The events in Blood for Dust takes place in Montana in 1992. What did you find the most challenging or interesting about grounding Cliff as a character in that specific time and period?
Well, that's a great question. What was really interesting, my dad worked in the sort of quasi-financial sector all through the 80s and 90s. So there was a familiarity to this sort of salesman thing that felt like not so foreign to me. So seeing the slide projector, like little things like that, I don't know, it just felt like there was a certain sense of my dad that I was leaning into or taking from in playing this, that it just felt again familiar to me.
The relationship between Cliff and Ricky is very interesting and full of tension. Did you and Kit Harington have similar ideas about their dynamic, or did you have different perspectives?
I don't know. I don't know what Kit Harrington's perspective on it, but I think you have to, as an actor, go with your own perspectives and not be apologetic about the character's point of views. What Kit Harington did coming into this film was phenomenal. I don't know what his preparation was or where he was, what his backstory was or whatnot. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I had so much fun playing with everything that he was bringing to the table, and just had so much fun working with him as well. And I thought that the dynamic of his character, what he created, worked as such a great juxtaposition to the role of Cliff, which made it for a great story, but also for great drama between the two characters.
Cliff's arc in Blood for Dust is very intense emotionally and physically. Were there any particular scenes or sequences that you would say pushed you to your limits?
Not necessarily the scenes as me as a person, but as the character. I thought the character was in total shock when he sees Kit Harrington's character, Ricky, kill somebody or kill one of the other characters. That to me was a shocking moment of Cliff sort of realizing the intensity of what he's gotten himself involved in. The actual production of like shooting it, on those days, yeah, I think we were all held up in a tiny cold warehouse, freezing. So the difference from what was actually happening on set that day and the difference from what we were all going through was, astronomically different.
How did Rod Blackhurst's direction shape your understanding of Cliff and the overall tone you portrayed him?
Rod's a great filmmaker, wonderful person to work with. He had set the tone for this project, I think, way before I came involved. It was more of him just us sort of through multiple conversations talking about like what that tone is. And so he did a great job at portraying it in the movie and a great job at a wonderful job at explaining to me like what the tone and the pacing of this film is, which I thought was really important because it's such a big part of the movie itself. That's all Rod Blackhurst is doing. He's a very meticulous filmmaker.
And finally, is there a scene that you're particularly proud of, either because of how challenging it was to film or because you think it represents something integral about Cliff that you would like to share?
I love the scene with Cliff and Steven Dorff. We had a lot of fun that day. That one really jumps out to me. But also the scenes with Nora Zetner, the girl who plays my wife, those stand out to me just because they're such a difference of how Cliff is outside of the family and how he is at home. And I just thought Nora did such a great job, and I had a lot of fun working with her and playing with those scenes. And they felt very grounded and really real. And I don't know, those were memorable to me.
Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Christina.